In this video, I'm going to talk about what monk fruit is and what makes it special, what monk fruit extracts are, and then finally, what are the different types of monk fruit extracts so you can decide which might be best for you. My name is Stefano and I'm the founder of Transparency Foods. In the last couple of years, I have created 3 monk fruit products used by over 25,000 people. I have bought over 4,000 kilograms, that's 4 tons of monk fruit extracts, and I've also met all the top manufacturers in the industry and tried dozens of their monk fruit products. This is why I believe I'm qualified to talk to you about this, so let's get started. So what is monk fruit? Monk fruit is a fruit, of course, but let's go a little bit deeper. Monk fruit is a small melon, and it has been cultivated in southern China for centuries. It's sweet and it has sugar like any other fruit, but what makes monk fruit special is that its sweetness doesn't come from sugar, but from natural antioxidants called Mogrosides. There's different types of Mogrosides, but one in particular called Mogroside V is up to 250 times sweeter than sugar. That's very sweet. And I'll ask you to please remember this. Mogroside V, we'll be referring to this term a lot because it's the active compound that gives monk fruit its characteristic sweetness. But even though this level of sweetness may sound crazy, and it kind of is, it's really nothing new to the sweetener industry. The industry has been using ultra sweet compounds for a very long time. You have things like sucralose, which is 600 times sweeter than sugar, aspartame, which is 200 times sweeter than sugar, and you can find in Coke Zero. And you have even advantame, which is 20,000 times sweeter than sugar. And of course, you have stevia, which is around 300 times sweeter than sugar, and monk fruit. So the question is, if you have all these different ultra sweet compounds available, why did monk fruit become so popular? And the answer is that monk fruit became popular because, as opposed to sucralose, aspartame, advantame, and many others, monk fruit is 100% natural. Stevia is natural too, but it has a weird aftertaste that many people don't like. So the combination of all these things, the fact that it has a natural origin, that is very sweet, and it has a great taste, and the fact that, of course, the FDA approved it as safe back in 2010, all of those things made it a very popular sweetener fairly quickly. And today you can find monk fruit in your sweetener aisle in every major grocery store, both in person and online. Now, there's many types of monk fruit sweeteners, so the question is, which is the right one for you? In this video, we're going to break that down. The first thing you should know is that there's 2 main types of monk fruit sweeteners. You have extracts and you have blends. Extracts are a concentrated form of the fruit, and you can find them in different concentrations of Mogroside V in either liquid or powder form. On the other hand, the second type of monk fruit sweeteners are blends, which are a combination of extracts, which we just talked about, with some type of filler like erythritol or allulose. In this video, we're going to be focusing on extracts, but I'll be recording a separate video talking about blends, and I'll link it somewhere in here. All right, so now you know what monk fruit is and what makes it a special, and what are the 2 main types of monk fruit sweeteners, extracts and blends. Let's now dive deep into what monk fruit extracts actually are and what are the different types available so you can make the right buying decision. Extracts are made by quite literally extracting Mogroside V from the fruit. The end product can be either in liquid or powdered form, and the Mogroside V concentration can vary widely in these extracts. You can go as low as 2% to as high as 80%. Of course, the higher the Mogroside V concentration, the sweeter the product. Extracts are perfect if you want to replace the sweetness of sugar, not its texture. For that, you may want to use a blend. So, for example, you can use extracts to add sweetness to coffee, teas, smoothies, yogurt, cereal, or even cocktails, right? Or even salad dressings. These are all great use cases for monk fruit extracts. However, if you want to bake, maybe some cookies, brownies, or that delicious cake that you love, like, extracts will not work for you, as in that case, you will probably be looking to replace not only the sweetness, but also the texture of sugar, and monk fruit extracts will not give you that. As a side note, I personally like both, and I just use each for what they're best for. In my case, I use extracts for drinks and blends for baking. So there's 2 main types of monk fruit extracts. You have liquid and powder. Let's start with liquid. Liquid extracts are quite literally the concentrated juice of the fruit, nothing else. We press the fruit, extract its juice, and filter it multiple times to remove impurities and be left only with the good stuff. It can be produced with different concentrations of Mogroside V, but it's usually sold in a concentration of 3.5%. And that's probably because it works fairly well. It has a much more natural taste, and it's 15 to 20 times sweeter than sugar. This product contains the fruit's natural sugars, which serve as a preservative and make it possible to avoid using any type of artificial preservative. They're delicious and are fairly convenient to use, especially in drinks, because they dissolve immediately. By the way, this is a type of monk fruit extract that we sell. There's other types of liquid monk fruit sweeteners that are made by combining powder monk fruit extract with water and subtype of preservative. Even though they're marketed as monk fruit extracts, I personally think they're better categorized as liquid monk fruit blends because, well, you're combining, monk fruit extract with water, in this case is the filler, and a preservative. We're not gonna, go too deep into this specific type of product. We're gonna focus on it on our blends, monk fruit blends video. I should say that the only downside of liquid extracts is that it's recommended to keep them refrigerated after opening. This is because there is a risk, even though it's very small, but it's there, that airborne bacteria enters the bottle. And at that point, refrigeration will significantly slow down the growth of any bacteria that may get in. Then we have monk fruit powder extracts. They come in a variety of different Mogroside V concentrations, from as low as 2% to as high as 80%. The higher the Mogroside V concentration, the sweeter the extract. Also, the higher the concentration, the cleaner the taste and the easier it is to dissolve. Of course, this also translates into a higher price tag. The most popular Mogroside V concentrations for these extracts are 7 to 10%, which I just bundle into one type, and there is 25% and 50%. They're all slightly different, so let's talk about them. All right, 7 to 10% Mogroside V concentration. This one has a small monk fruit taste, and it doesn't dissolve as easily. By the way, as a side note, in my opinion, the taste is great. I really like it, so it doesn't bother me, but just know it's there. On the other hand, it's much more affordable. And although it's very sweet, around 25 times sweeter than sugar, it's not sweet enough to become an inconvenience. And we'll talk about that later on. Having said that, this product requires the use of a carrier to transform the monk fruit extract from liquid to powder. The liquid is too thick, so using a carrier is necessary. The industry's carrier of choice is maltodextrin, sometimes in concentrations of up to 30%, even though the range is, between 10 to 30%. So the thing is that as of today, right, May 22nd, right, the brand selling this type of 2024, the brand selling this type of extracts don't really disclose the use of maltodextrin or any other carrier on the label, even though they use them. And I know they use them because I bought them all and I tested them for starches and they all tested positive. So anyways, I don't want to go too deep into this here because I'll be recording a separate video to address this specific issue. But just know that monk fruit extracts with a Mogroside V concentration of under 20% probably contain somewhere between 10 to 30% maltodextrin. This doesn't make it a bad product. Just keep that in mind, especially because you will be adding so little of it. But it's something to keep in mind. 25% Mogroside V concentration. This one has less of a monk fruit taste and it's easier to dissolve. It's about 90 times sweeter than sugar and are made without any type of carriers. In my opinion, it's a great, safe choice. 50% Mogroside V concentration. These are very pure, have much less of a monk fruit taste, and they dissolve much easier in water. Now, keep in mind, these are very sweet, right? So they can be over 150 times sweeter than sugar, which is great if that's what you're looking for, but it can be fairly inconvenient to use. Just try to add, consistently much less than 1 gram to your morning coffee. Sometimes it's just hard not to add too much, right? So that's the downside of it. Of course, it's made without using any carriers. And of course, these are more expensive. Finally, there's also extracts with higher concentration of Mogroside V, but they're usually only used as an ingredient in manufacturing applications because they're too sweet, right? You have 60%, 70%, I have seen as high as 80% Mogroside V concentration. In conclusion, extracts are ideal to replace the sweetness of sugar, but not the texture of sugar. Use extracts to add sweetness to drinks, cereals, salad dressings, etc. You can choose either liquid or powdered extracts based on the level of sweetness you're looking for and what you find more convenient to use. At the end of the day, it's a personal thing, right? Now, if you want to replace the sweetness and the texture of sugar, you're better off using a monk fruit blend, but that's for another video. Thank you for listening.